The kitchen table incident. The kitchen table had always been more than furniture. It had been a silent witness to laughter, quiet dinners, stolen glances, and slow kisses under the dim light of the hanging bulb. It stood firm during storms, both inside the house and within the heart. That table had seen everything, but what happened on it that night turned it into the altar of something far darker. An unspeakable betrayal, a broken soul, and pain so raw it carved into the body like fire on skin. Began with love. Real love. The kind that made lips curl into secret smiles in the mirror, and left warm trails on bare skin after midnight. Fingers intertwined in silence, hearts racing with every glance, breaths stolen during innocent touches that turned sinful far too easily. It was love that started with slow kisses pressed onto collarbones and ended with entire nights tangled in sheets, skin on skin, whispers against necks, and moans swallowed in kisses. The days were soft, but the nights burned. Heated. Hungry. The kind of heat that made clothes feel unnecessary, made furniture tremble beneath restless bodies. There was something magnetic in the way fingers slid over thighs, how mouths explored every inch like it was holy, how the taste of sweat mingled with longing. That kitchen table had held her hips once, bruised slightly from the grip of fingers too eager to let go, while she whispered his name against his lips again and again until it became a chant, a prayer, a curse. It was intoxicating, addictive, dangerous. But beneath that fiery intimacy, cracks had started to form. Small, subtle at first. Missed calls. Forgotten glances. Coldness in kisses. The silence after sex that used to be filled with laughter was replaced by breathless stares at the ceiling. And then came the late nights, the locked phone, the scent of perfume that wasn't hers, the guilt in his eyes that he tried to hide behind passion. She noticed. Every touch felt different. Not less heated, but more distant. It was like he was trying to erase something each time he held her. The lovemaking grew rougher. Not in desire, but in desperation. He touched her like he needed to feel something, not like he loved her. And yet she let him. Over and over again. 'Cause she was afraid. Afraid that the pain was better than being alone. Afraid that if she said no, he might not come back. One night, while he stood behind her at the kitchen sink, his lips trailing down her neck, his hands slipping under her dress, she wanted to cry. Not because she didn't want it, but because she knew. She knew his body had memorized someone else's curves, someone else's taste. But she moaned anyway, arching back into him, pretending it was love, pretending it still meant something. The tears mixed with the water on her cheeks, and when he lifted her onto the kitchen table, she didn't stop him. Not when he whispered filthy things in her ear. Not when he spread her legs and kissed the pain away. Not even when he crushed her with the weight of his body, pounding into her with a kind of aggression that made her bite her lips till they bled. She came loud, aching, shaking, but the satisfaction never reached her heart. He left early that morning, claiming work. He kissed her goodbye like she was just air. And she stood there, wrapped in a torn robe, thighs still sore, chest still heaving, soul absolutely shattered. The days that followed felt like walking on shattered glass. She smiled when people looked, laughed when expected. But every night she cried. Long aching sobs that came from somewhere deep and broken. Her body craved the comfort of his touch, even if it hurt. She missed the smell of his skin, the pressure of his palm on her stomach, the filthy way he growled her name during climax. But more than that, she missed who he used to be. She started watching him. Not in a jealous way, but in the way a prisoner watches their captor. The way she noticed how he flinched when she said, "I love you." How he turned away when she undressed slowly for him. How he only initiated sex when the lights were off. And the worst part. The sex wasn't soft anymore. It was hard. Unapologetically rough. Brutal. Like he was punishing her body for still loving him. He'd bend her over without a word. Push inside without warning, whisper dirty, painful things in her ear that made her want to scream. Not from pleasure but from humiliation. And still she let him. Because she thought that maybe, just maybe, if she gave him all of herself he'd stay. One day, while cleaning the kitchen, she found something beneath the table. A pair of unfamiliar earrings. Not hers. not a friend's. Her stomach dropped like a stone in water. She stared at the shiny little betrayal like it had teeth. She didn't ask him. Not immediately. Instead she kept it. Placed it in the drawer near the knives. Quiet reminder. That night when he came home late, he reeked of sex and guilt. His lips kissed her like a stranger, and when he entered her from behind on the kitchen table again, gripping her hair, calling her things that didn't belong to her, she cried, silently, painfully. The thrusts were hard, almost cruel. Her body ached from the stretch, from the pace, from the way he growled someone else's name under his breath. He came with a roar, collapsing against her back, sweat dripping onto her skin, his breath hot and unloving. Afterward she sat there, naked, broken, leaking his betrayal between her thighs, staring at the ceiling. She finally asked. His silence confirmed everything. He didn't even try to lie. He just stood there, zipping up his pants, wiping his mouth like the taste of her made him sick. And in that moment, something inside her cracked wide open. The kind of crack that never heals. The kind of heartbreak that doesn't scream, it whispers. Drowns. She stopped crying that night. Not because it didn't hurt anymore, but because she had no more tears left. Her body felt used. Her heart crushed. Her soul empty. But she wasn't done. She started watching again. Listening. Not for him. But for the truth. The full truth. The one hidden beneath soft lies and slick thrusts and moans in the dark. And what she found changed everything. There had been more than one. He had touched others. Fucked others. Brought them here. To the same kitchen. To the same table. While she was out buying him gifts. Cooking his favorite food. Loving him the only way she knew how. She imagined them. Their sounds. Their bodies. The way he must have held them the same way. Whispered in their ears. Bitten their lips. Slammed into them where she now sat. It was unbearable. But it was also empowering. 'Cause now she knew. And now she had a plan. She stopped asking questions and started watching in silence. Every breath he took felt like an insult. Every touch was poison. He still touched her like she was his, still kissed her neck while thrusting deep, still forced her legs apart at the kitchen table like she was a craving he couldn't resist. But now she knew it was all a performance. His mouth said, "I missed you," but his eyes stayed cold. His body gave her orgasms, but his heart stayed miles away. And she had become an actress too, moaning on command, arching her back, spreading her legs. Not because she wanted to feel him, but because she wanted to make him think she was still his fool. She swallowed his lies as she swallowed his lust, letting him use her body like a toy, knowing the truth buried inside his filthy words. The pain wasn't just in her chest anymore. It was in her thighs, her spine, her stomach. He became crueler, the sex rougher. He called her names in bed, spit on her during climax, slapped her ass so hard she winced for days. And yet she welcomed it, begged for more, let him believe she was obsessed with his size, his strength, his dominance. But beneath her breathy gasps, she was building something darker. One night he came home drunk, reeking of perfume, buttons undone, hair messy like someone had pulled on it. His pants barely stayed up. His eyes glazed, and his lips smirked in that disgusting way that made her want to rip them off. He staggered toward her, grabbed her chin, kissed her with a tongue that tasted like another woman's lipstick and whispered, "You're still my best one." She didn't flinch. She led him to the kitchen, laid herself across the table, opened her legs, let him take what he wanted. His hands were rough, fingers bruising her thighs, breath hot on her skin. He didn't even bother with foreplay, just pushed inside with one hard thrust that made her gasp in real pain. He slammed into her again and again, harder, rougher, deeper, using her like a thing. And she took it all. Bit her lips, dug her nails into the wood, faked her moans, screamed his name like it meant something. When he was done, when he collapsed on her like a filthy drunk animal, she whispered against his ear, "I know what you did." His body tensed, but she smiled. She cleaned herself up after he passed out on the floor. used tissue after tissue to wipe away the betrayal dripping between her legs, then stood there staring at his unconscious body. He looked peaceful, like the guilt had never touched him. And in that moment she realized. He had never loved her. Not once. She was his convenience, his habit, his silence. But she wasn't silent anymore. The next day she disappeared for hours. Left him alone. Didn't answer calls. Didn't return messages. She came back with a smile. Cooked dinner. Cleaned the kitchen. Wore the red silk dress he used to love. Her breasts nearly spilled from it. Her thighs shimmered with lotion. She lit candles. Put on music. Played the part. He stared at her like she was prey again. Eyes dark, hands ready to devour. Big, rank, laugh. He poured wine down her chest and licked it off, growling at her skin, pushing her dress up over her hips. She didn't stop him. She let him rip her panties off and lift her onto the kitchen table one last time. And that night, God, that night, he touched her like a savage. His tongue was everywhere. His hands left marks. He pulled her hair, bent her over, slammed into her again and again. His grunts echoing with each thrust. He screamed, not from pleasure but from release. She scratched his back, bit his neck, climbed him like a storm. His sighs filled her again, painfully, stretching her until her breath left her body. And when he finally exploded inside her, collapsing with a shudder, she whispered, "Now it's my turn." He laughed, breathless, until he saw the phone in her hand. She had recorded everything, every thrust, every slap, every filthy word, every groan, every proof of his betrayal. And not just tonight, every night, every woman, every lie, hidden cameras, secret voice memos, GPS logs, messages, screenshots, even his filthy conversations. She had it all, and she sent it, to his job, to his friends, to his family, to the other women. He stared at her, mouth open. No words, no excuses, no charm. She stood tall, naked, glowing in candlelight, her skin still glistening from sweat, her lips swollen, her thighs sore. But her voice was calm, cold. "You didn't just break my heart. You broke me. And now I'm going to break you." He lunged. She slapped him. Hard. Left a red mark across his cheek. Then she smiled. Pulled out the pair of earrings from the drawer. Tossed them at his feet. "Give those back to whichever whore lost them while riding you at this table." He collapsed to his knees. Broken. Begging. But she was already walking away. She left him there. Naked, humiliated, exposed. The kitchen table, once a symbol of passion, now stood soaked in betrayal. It smelled like sex, lies, and revenge. She packed her things. Took her silence. Took her scars. Took her pain. She never looked back. And when she walked out that door, the real story began. Because he thought he had crushed her. But she had been reborn. And he would never forget what she did to him. Right there. On that kitchen table. The end.